What's going on YouTube, man? It's your nigga Steels, bro, and I'm here with another reaction video for y'all boys and girls, man, ladies and gents, you feel me? And today we got how Lil Durk is being treated in prison. Nah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. You know, damn, my phone on and shit tweaking. But you know, I'm from Chicago, bro. You know what I'm saying? If he not one, Lil Durk is probably the best, you know, the best rapper from Chicago, man, when it comes to this shit, man. Nah, but shit, I need some videos to react to, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm finna put my IG right here, bruh. I'm put my IG right here, man. Hit me up on IG, y'all. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want to send me some videos, and I'm gonna shout y'all out in the video, man. Let's get right into it, though.
Lil Durk faces 3 new federal charges in connection to a deadly shooting in Los Angeles in August of 2022. The Grammy Award-winning rapper, whose legal name is Durk Banks, is charged along with 5 alleged co-conspirators in a murder-for-hire plot.
Shit.
Prosecutors say he masterminded a plot to kill Chicago rapper Quando Rondo at a Los Angeles gas station, but Rondo's cousin was killed instead. According to the FBI, the hit was in retaliation for the murder of another Chicago rapper, King Von, in 2020. Lil Durk remains in federal custody in Miami, where he was arrested last month.
Lil Durk is sitting in a federal detention center in Los Angeles right now. Not a state pen, not a county jail, a federal...
I didn't know he had a blessed neck tattoo. Wanna go fuck it? What? Blessed throat? That shit freaky as hell, gang. Y'all gotta watch what y'all put on y'all necks. Y'all tweaking.
Facility, the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, Los Angeles. And inside that building, the man born Durk Derek Banks, the first Chicago drill rapper to ever win a Grammy, the man whose album went top 3 on the Billboard 200 while he was already locked up, has been stripped to the bare minimum of what the federal government will allow a human being to have before they've even been convicted of anything.
That's bad,
23
bro.
hours a day in a cell, barely big enough to hold a single bed, a toilet, and a sink.
Holy.
No commissary, no in-person visits, 1 phone call per month, not 1 call a day,
Holy.
not 1 call a week, 1 phone call every 30 days. For a man with 7 kids, for a man with a wife, for a man who has watched his trial get delayed 4 separate times and has now been inside that building since October 2024, over a year and a half. No conviction, no trial, no verdict. And the reason...
It's been that long, bro. Damn. It's already June 2026. You finna be in that bitch for 2 years. It do not feel... It's been since 2024? No way. Damn.
And he was put in that hole, an Apple Watch. That's what his lawyers say. That's what the court filings say. That's what allhiphop.com reported after obtaining the documents themselves. On August 29, 2025, Durk was placed in solitary confinement.
Damn,
The segregated
bro looks
housing
spooked.
unit, the SHU,
He looking at me like this.
at MDC Los Angeles. Staff alleged he had a contraband Apple Watch with cellular capabilities. They alleged he tried to destroy it when they came to take it, and from that moment they dropped him in the hole. 131 consecutive days in that box before his legal team even got a court to look at what was happening to him.
So Lil Durk
Oh
was
my
caught with an
gosh.
Apple Watch in jail and attempted to destroy, authorities say on Monday. The prosecution filed a motion of Durk's murder for hire case requesting an anonymous jury for the upcoming trial. The motion cites authorities finding out that Durk was in possession of an Apple Watch in August, a significant risk of witness tampering.
And when they finally filed that motion,
I ain't gonna lie, y'all delayed my... If y'all delayed my trial 3 times, shit, yeah, I'm bringing some contraband in there too. I'm already in here in my cell 23 hours out of the 24 hours of the day. Only get 1 hour to myself. No, I got all the time to myself, but at the same time, it's like, I am, gang. I'm in here going crazy, bruh. No bad. No bad. I know Lil Durk, if he did it, if they, you know, allegedly they're saying he did it, you know what I'm saying? I hope, you know what I'm saying, he changed. He need to, all that old block shit ain't no more on BD. None of that. All that shit gotta go once you free, gang. if you get that second chance.
In January of 2026, his attorney
wanna hear that
Christy
from you no
O'Connor
more.
wrote this in the court filing, word for word. The psychological toll of extended solitary confinement is well documented. Y'all, this man has not been convicted. He has pleaded not guilty. He is, by the law of this country, innocent until proven otherwise. And he spent 5 months in a box the size of a parking space. That is how Lil Durk is being treated in prison. And we are just getting started. To understand what is happening to Durk inside that facility, we have to understand how he got there and why the federal government has the position it does on this man. Go back to October 20th, 2024. Durk is performing at the United Center in Chicago on his birthday, the same arena where Michael Jordan played Fam, to a packed house. Lil Baby on stage with him. Sexy Red, Boss Man Low,
Oh, yeah, that's
JT.
lit.
He just won a Grammy in February 2024
I
for
know
Best
that was
Melodic
lit.
Rap Performance for All My Life with J. Cole, the first Chicago drill artist to ever win one. He had a new album in the works. He had a nonprofit, Neighborhood Heroes, doing real community work in Chicago.
I don't even count Lil Durk as a drill artist no more. He slide like a R&B. Like, he be going crazy with that shit. I mess with it though. You know what I'm saying? When he got the R&B going on. I think it's better than the thugging. I can't lie.
Chicago. Everything looked like it was going in one direction. 4 days later, on October 24th, 2024, U.S. Marshals caught Durk near Miami International Airport. The feds say he had booked international flights to Dubai and to Switzerland. They said he was trying to run. The FBI assistant director in charge of the L.A. field office, Akil Davis, went public with it. The apprehension of Mr. Banks as he attempted to leave the United States is once again proof that the FBI and our extraordinary partners have a long reach. No excuse can justify this violent act. The charges stem from an August 19, 2022
It was too
shooting
late
at
to
a
do the
gas
dash,
station
my nigga.
near the
You ain't
Beverly
take
Center
aim, my
Mall
nigga.
in West Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Micah and Sherry,
Don't
you can
clap
see
it up
this
for that.
mobile station here
I
across
mean
the
it.
street from the Beverly Center, and we can tell you that they have a couple of suspects in custody right now. Reports of shots fired here, not clear as to whether anybody was hit or not.
Quando Rondo, born Tiquian Terrell Bowman, and his cousin Saviaya Lulpab Robinson, 24 years old, pulled up in a black Cadillac Escalade.
That's the
Gunmen
niggas they
opened
killed.
fire. Rondo escaped. Robinson was killed. The feds alleged that Durk, in retaliation for the November 2020 shooting death of King Von in Atlanta, organized, financed, and directed 5 members of his Only the Family collective to travel from Chicago to Los Angeles to
Bro, he let all that slap of Vaughn comments, all that shit get to his head, bro. But at the same time, it's like, my nigga, you rich as shit, gang. You ain't got shit to worry about, gang. You sell out tickets at the United Center, nigga. It's more than 100,000 niggas in that bitch, gang. You selling out tickets, brother. Nigga, you should be laughing at that shit, gang. You shouldn't let that shit get to you, bro. That all my life. Yeah, you gonna be sitting in the pen all your life, my nigga.
track, stalk, and attempt to kill Quando Rondo. The prosecution said Durk even offered those men lucrative music industry opportunities as compensation for participating. Durk was extradited from Florida to California in late November 2024 and placed at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. He entered a plea of not guilty, and right out of the gate, the fight began. Not just the criminal case, but the fight over how he would be treated while the case played out. Gang, let me walk you through what happened when Durk's legal team tried to get him out of that building while awaiting trial, because the bond hearing saga by itself tells you everything about the position the federal government has taken with this man. December 12th, 2024. Bond hearing number 1. His team put together a package: $2.3 million in property, $1 million cash from Sony Music, electronic monitoring, around-the-clock security, surrender of all electronic devices.
Damn.
They brought it to U.S. Magistrate Judge Patricia Donahue in downtown Los Angeles. They laid it all out, denied. The judge's exact words: "I find that there is no condition or combination of conditions that will reasonably assure the safety of the community." She cited the seriousness of the charges and what prosecutors were saying about his international travel plans. Before that hearing even happened, a newly unsealed indictment dropped a second bomb, linking Durk to a separate January 2022 murder for hire. The killing of Stefan Mack, a Chicago man the FBI identified as a leader of the Smashville faction of the Gangster Disciples. The Fed said this one was allegedly retribution for the 2021 murder of Durk's own brother, Dante D. Thang Banks. Same statute, same argument, more charges, more weight pressing down. At the same hearing, prosecutors revealed something else. Durk had allegedly been breaking rules at MDC from the jump, despite clear instructions not to engage in three-way calls. A sealed exhibit prosecutors filed alleged he had repeatedly abused the phone system at MDC. He reportedly used at least 13 other inmates' phone accounts to make outside calls. 13. The judge said that conduct showed a disrespect for the rules. His attorney, Drew Findling, pushed back, said using other inmates' phone accounts was a common practice inside federal detention centers, said there was no evidence Durk was doing anything other than trying to contact his family. The judge denied him anyway. That's just the beginning, though. May 8th, 2025, bond hearing number 2. By this point, Durk's team had completely redesigned the package. They brought in AirSec Group, a Beverly Hills-based licensed private security firm, to provide 24/7 armed monitoring. Not just to report to Durk, but to report directly to the court itself. Total bond package, over $2 million, curfews, home confinement in a secured property, surveillance systems on site. The defense also scored a significant win right before.
Mind you, if he didn't have all this money, he was gonna be sitting in that bitch. Like, that's insane, bro. Only cause he rich, gang. You gonna figure out a way to, cause you rich and famous, they gonna figure a way out. You know what I'm saying? They gonna figure out something. You gonna have the best lawyers. You gonna have all that. They gonna figure it out for you, bro. But it's like, for all the niggas that don't have that, bro, that's insane, gang. Niggas be having to really sit down.
Prosecutors dropped the lyrics from the indictment.
Take their time.
They had been trying to use a 2022 track called Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, a collaboration with Babyface Ray, as evidence that Durk was celebrating and commercializing Lil Pab's murder. Durk's team produced a sworn affidavit from the song's producer, Justin Gibson, proving the track was recorded approximately 7 to 8 months before the August 2022 shooting. Drew Findling told the court it was provably false that his client had monetized and celebrated the death at the heart of this case. The prosecution backed down, but the case still moved forward. What else did the feds have? They seized an unreleased song of Durk's called Scoom His Ass, found on a co-defendant's cell phone. Prosecutors argued the lyrics corroborate their case. Durk raps about riding through Beverly Hills with choppers. The Lil Pab shooting happened approximately 1.5 miles from Beverly Hills in the Beverly Grove neighborhood. Prosecutors told the court that it showed Durk was the leader of OTF who funded his co-conspirators' violence against rivals, including by placing bounties. His team never officially released that song. The feds found it, seized it, and put it in front of a judge.
Damn.
Bond hearing 2, still denied. Same reason, flight risk, danger to the community. Third attempt, fourth attempt. Findling appealed. The defense came back again and again. Eventually, the package hit $4.5 million. Armed private security from AirSec Group, the full plan, real estate equity, cash from Alamo Records, court supervision, electronic monitoring. U.S. District Judge Michael Fitzgerald heard the fourth attempt and still said no. The judge agreed with prosecution that.
But like, look how much he putting on the line just to get out, gang. Like, that is crazy, bro. Some niggas really just have to sit down and take the L, bro. Everybody not as fortunate as bro.
No
gang,
combination of conditions would reasonably assure Durk's appearance in court or the safety of the community. The prosecution's line on all of it, woefully inadequate. Here's the part that should make people stop. Durk's family called all of it a miscarriage of justice. His dad, Dante Big Durk Banks, told Rolling Stone his son was staying grounded in his faith. After the June 2025 bond denial, Durk stood at the defense table in a beige jail uniform and a knit kufi cap because he's Muslim, gang, and he has been leaning on his faith through all of this. Turned to the gallery, put his right hand over his heart, and smiled at the nearly 24 family members and supporters who had shown up. His dad said, "He's strong and focused. He's still smiling. He's standing on his faith, believing God will make a way." 4 attempts. $4.5 million. Private security that answers to the court. Smile at his people, hand over his heart, walked back into custody. Now here is where the story of how Durk is being treated inside that prison gets as dark as it gets. Real recognize real. This section is the heart of this whole video. For 11 months after arriving at MDC Los Angeles, according to his own attorneys, Durk was in general population with no behavioral issues. 11 months, no write-ups they could point to, no fights, no disciplinary problems. He was doing his time, staying in his Muslim faith, reportedly getting described by sources inside the facility as charming and agreeable. Then came August 29, 2025. Bureau of Prisons officials alleged they found Durk in possession of an unauthorized Apple Watch equipped with cellular capabilities. That's not a regular Apple Watch, fam. That's a device that can make calls and send messages without using the facility's monitored phone system. The feds said that when staff tried to seize it, Durk attempted to damage and destroy the device. Their motion read, "Even more troubling is Banks's conduct after he was caught. Rather than accept responsibility for this violation, defendant allegedly obstructed the investigation, attempting to damage and slash or destroy the communications device." That same day, August 29th, Durk was moved from general population into the segregated housing unit, solitary confinement.
Damn.
Let me paint this picture for you the way his own lawyer painted it in a court.
They must have found it on some, like, he must have been telling niggas he had that shit or something. Somebody snitched on him or something, or, you know, niggas be loudmouth as hell. They get to the CO, you know, COC, you know, check it out. CO, check it out. Tell him check it out. See if he got that bitch for real. That's bad, bro. That's why if you got some, gang, you just gotta be cool, gang. You ain't gotta tell the whole world, gang. I know he was telling the whole pod, like, he was flashing that motherfucker like it was a Rolex or some shit.
Filing because the words matter. Attorney Christy O'Connor wrote, "Lil Durk is confined to a very small jail cell, just large enough for a single bed, a toilet, and a sink. He has no access to commissary, only one phone call per month, and no in-person visits. The psychological toll of extended solitary confinement is well documented." Read that again. A cell large enough for a single bed, a toilet, and a sink. 23 hours a day, 1 hour out, no commissary, meaning no outside food, no hygiene products you buy yourself, nothing beyond what the facility issues you, no visits from family or friends, one phone call every 30 days. And here's where the legal violation kicks in, because this is not just hard prison conditions, this is allegedly illegal treatment. Federal Bureau of Prisons regulations state that when an inmate is placed in administrative segregation, solitary confinement, they must receive a unit discipline committee review within 5 working days of being placed there. For more serious infractions, a hearing before a disciplinary hearing officer is required. These are not suggestions, these are federal rules. His legal team argued in their January 2026 motion that Durk received neither. He was placed in the SHU on August 29, 2025, and as of January 6, 2026, 131 consecutive days later, he still had not received the disciplinary review required by the BOP's own rulebook. But wait, it gets worse. The prison couldn't even get its own story straight on why he was in there. In October 2025, an attorney for MDC told defense counsel that Durk's celebrity status had nothing to do with placing him in the SHU. But then in December 2025, literally 2 months later, the warden told defense counsel a completely different story. The warden said Durk was considered a threat to the general public because of the high-profile nature of his case and potential rule violations. So which is it? The Apple Watch? His fame? His case? The Bureau of Prisons gave his lawyers 2 completely contradictory explanations, and throughout all of it, no formal disciplinary hearing was held. His attorneys argued this. First, it's a violation of BOP's own federal regulations. Second, it may violate the 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution, the amendment that prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. They filed a motion demanding a status hearing in January 2026. On January 7, 2026, a judge held a hearing, set a February hearing to address the conditions further, and then, on January 15, 2026, approximately 5 months after being dropped in that box, Durk was released from solitary confinement and moved back to the general population at MDC Los Angeles. He did not walk free. He did not make bail. He moved from the SHU back to the main facility. He is still in federal custody as you watch this video right now in May 2026. But
I know if Lil Durk, let's say he get out, I know he won't be the same, bro. Like, I don't know. I could have messed his head up, like, for real, for real. Shit. You know, he speak English and he might come out speaking fucking Portuguese. Full grade.
months of solitary confinement without a formal disciplinary process, that's what his legal team had to fight to end. Here's where we connect the dots, because everything happening to Durk inside that prison, the solitary, the bond denials, the phone rules violations, all of it feeds into a larger picture the federal government has been constructing about who Durk is and what he represents. The feds do not view Lil Durk as simply a rapper who may have been involved in a violent crime. They have been explicit in court filings about how they see OTF, only the family. In their own words, in motions filed before Judge Michael Fitzgerald, prosecutors have labeled OTF a hybrid organization that blends legitimate business with organized crime. They said OTF operates at the direction of banks as something between a record label and a criminal enterprise. In November 2025, prosecutors wrote in a filing that Durk and OTF had shown contempt for the judicial process and that members of the organization had already intimidated witnesses, threatened a magistrate judge, and targeted a federal prosecutor. Let that sit for a second. Threatened a magistrate judge and targeted a federal prosecutor. That is not a lyric. That is a sworn filing to a federal court. Here's what happened. According to court documents, Durk's supporters, not Durk himself, but people who identify as his supporters, allegedly left 4 violent voicemails for U.S. Magistrate Judge Patricia Donahue, the same judge who denied his first 2 bond requests. Threats so specific and so violent that one caller reportedly vowed to burn this down if Durk or his co-defendant DeAndre Wilson were convicted. And separately, someone called Assistant U.S. Attorney Ian Yaniello, the lead prosecutor on the case, and threatened to shoot him if Durk wasn't released. These were not anonymous.
Bruh. But how can you can't blame Durk for that, bro. It's Durk, bro. Like, y'all gotta remember he's a celebrity, bro. He's gonna have fans, diehard fans, you know what I'm saying, hurt if he actually sits in the pen for the rest of his life. It's not cool. Yeah, if he did what he did, you know what I'm saying, it's not cool, but at the same time, it's like that affect other people's lives, bro. People listen to his music every day. Some people really use that to cope too. It's like, damn, gang. But Lil Durk bogus as hell because he the reason why, you know what I'm saying? He the reason why shit he affect other people just being in the pen. He can't blame nobody but himself, but it's like, don't put that on Lil Durk. He's a celeb.
Internet
bro.
comments. These were direct calls to the phone systems of federal court officers. The government used this to push for something almost unheard of in a standard murder case, an anonymous jury. They asked Judge Fitzgerald to seal the names, addresses, and places of employment of all jurors from both sides, a protection normally reserved for terrorism cases and organized crime trials.
RP, bro.
The kind of protection you give when you're afraid of what happens if jurors are identified. Durk's defense team fought back hard. Lead attorney Drew Findling filed a response arguing that an anonymous jury would compromise transparency and fundamental fairness, contradicting Mr. Banks's presumption of innocence. He said such measures should be reserved for cases involving real, immediate danger, not speculation.
I'm trying to wake up
but
still.
The prosecution kept going. In that same November 2025 filing, they accused Durk of personally directing threats against cooperating witnesses.
Hey, they be trying to sell like King Von. Do I really like that nigga game? Look, you see my face. Do I look like, bro? Let me know, bro.
And their family members, people who were expected to testify against him. And on top of the Apple Watch, prosecutors also pointed back to the phone situation, using 13 other inmates' PINs to make calls, doing 3-way calls, circumventing every monitored communication channel the facility had. The government's argument, assembled from all of these pieces, is this: Durk cannot be trusted to follow rules even when he is locked inside a federal detention center. His people on the outside are threatening judges and prosecutors. Witnesses in his own case are being intimidated. He allegedly
bogus,
tried
bro.
to destroy evidence. The Apple Watch, on the spot. Given all of that, the feds say, he cannot be released, he cannot be trusted, and the trial needs every protection available, up to and including jurors whose identities are hidden even from his attorneys. Durk's defense team says all of this is the government using chaos on the margins to build a narrative they cannot sustain at trial. His lead attorney at the time, Drew Findling, has pointed out consistently, Durk has no prior federal criminal record. The lyrics were thrown out. The one specific fact remaining in the indictment at one point, Findling said, was a single out-of-context text message from August 18, 2022, where Durk allegedly told a co-conspirator, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." The prosecution says that's Durk covering his tracks. The defense says that is nothing. But here's the real tea. It doesn't matter what one attorney says in a press statement. What matters is that every one of these incidents inside MDC Los Angeles, the three-way calls, the Apple Watch, the attempt to destroy it, was used by the prosecution in court filings to argue that this man will not follow rules under any circumstances and should remain detained. And every one of those incidents directly impacted the prison conditions Durk was subjected to. The phone violation sank the bond. The Apple Watch put him in solitary for 5 months. The sum of those parts is why Durk is still at MDC right now in the general population. No trial date that's stuck, waiting on August 25th, 2026. Here's the part of this story that most people haven't sat with long enough. No cap. Because through all of this, the solitary, the bond denials, the new charges, the feds seizing his unreleased music, the trial delays, the 5 months in a box, Durk has been sending signals out from inside that building that tell a very specific story about who he is and what this experience is doing to him. In January 2026, while he was still in solitary, he posted to his Instagram story over a black screen. No music, no captions, just words. Crazy how you gotta wait until it's dark out to see who really with you. That hit different. Because what he was describing was not just the legal situation, it was the human one. When you get arrested on charges this serious, when you disappear into federal custody for months at a time and your communications are restricted to one phone call every 30 days, you find out in real time who was really riding for you and who was riding for the version of you that was free and rich and relevant. His longtime DJ, Maurice DJ Reese Davis, spoke publicly about the absence. It's a void there. The community felt Durk's disappearance in a way that had nothing to do with music. By March of 2026, Durk had been moved back to general population for a couple of months. On March 31st, he posted a voice message to his followers. And what he said in that voice message, gang, you need to hear this in the context of everything he had been through. He said, "I just want to give y'all an update on my my mind state. I've just been reading these books, working on my patience."
I just been reading, getting into these books, just working on my patience. I've been reading Pawns in the Game by William Gackar, Pete Newton.
He then listed what he had been reading.
Bro, that's all you can do, shit. Reading in jail, probably, or shit. Yeah, he in jail. He ain't in prison right now. Reading in jail is probably like watching TV, my nigga. He ain't got that Apple Watch no more. He's probably on Apple Watch doing whatever he could, bro. Bored as hell. He can't talk to family. Shit, what can he do? Shit, he was in solitary for 5 months. That's fat as hell, gang. I can't believe folks not even insane right now. I'd be going crazy. Think about it. He had the work. He had the whole rack at one point, bro. Selling out tickets, gang. Imagine, you know what I'm saying, living rich, living free, and then living with hella restrictions. Like, that's bad, bro.
Fred Hampton, Elaine Brown, Huey P. Newton. Revolutionaries, he called them. People who had been through the system, who had stood for something that a lot of people don't know of or forgot about.
Fred Hampton, Elaine Brown, just all the revolutionaries, who've been through something and stand for something that a lot of people don't know of or forgot about.
He also mentioned Pawns in the Game by William Guy Carr, a book that analyzes the architecture of global power and the structure of institutions. This man is in a federal prison, facing a potential life sentence, and he is in there studying the Black Panther Party and geopolitical theory. But then he said the thing that really made the culture pause. He said, "It's just been sitting on my heart lately, bro. I want to save the generation, save these kids. I'm just tired of being a pawn for the culture, entertaining and being ignorant. Tired of being a pawn for the culture."
It's just been sitting on my heart lately to just save the generation, bro. Save these kids. They don't deserve it. I'm just tired of being a pawn for the culture.
Think about what that means coming from him specifically. This is a man who built his entire artistic identity on the streets of Englewood, Chicago, one of the most dangerous zip codes in the country, who rapped about pain and loss and survival because he lived it.
That's what I'm saying. I think with Lil Durk, you know what I'm saying? If they free him, gang, that nigga need to show us, gang, that he done. Like, all that street shit is over with. Ain't no more saying on BD. Ain't no more OTF. I ain't gonna lie, that OTF shit dead, gang. You might as well burn all the chains, bro. It's raps. They hear you say OTF, nigga, you back in that bitch. I ain't gonna lie. Cause that's like saying, bro, you did all that time just to go back to the same old dumbass shit, gang. And then they free him. You know, he was in the pen the first time because he blamed all that shit on Vaughn, even though because he was dead on some shit. That's
who
crazy.
lost King Von, his closest creative partner, in 2020, who lost his own brother D-Thang in 2021, who lost multiple OTF members to gun violence over the course of his entire career, who turned all of that into music and a label and a Grammy, and whose music the federal government is now using in court to argue he is the leader of a criminal enterprise. And now, sitting in a federal detention center, he is saying he does not want to be that anymore. He said, "We gotta be their heroes," talking about kids. He mentioned Jay-Z going through his situation and fans still turning their backs. He mentioned the Drake and Kendrick beef and what it said about the culture. This was not a man performing transformation for an audience. This was a man who has spent over a year in federal custody, including 5 months in solitary confinement, and has come out the other side reading Fred Hampton and saying he wants to save the generation. His family has stood beside him throughout all of it. His wife, India Royale, the couple married in 2024, the same year as his arrest, has kept things together on the outside. His nonprofit, Neighborhood Heroes, has been navigating.
Hey, y'all think India cheated? I ain't gonna lie, bro. It has been 2 years, bro. Like, y'all don't think she got that moment? You don't think nobody did that motherfucking game? I ain't gonna lie. Look, me to you. You don't think somebody did that motherfucker, folk? Somebody did that motherfucker, folk. My opinion, I don't know. I really don't know. But still, I think somebody did that motherfucker game. It's been 2 years, bro.
How to continue its work without him physically there.
And for
Kevin
sure,
Freeman,
if he's staying
the
there, somebody's doing that
executive director
motherfucker.
of Neighborhood Heroes, reflected
They
on what
only let
it
him
felt
free.
like when the news of the arrest dropped. I was like, tell me this is not gonna be how this ends. It felt like it was intentionally planned to snatch this after it was built up at that moment. Meanwhile, Durk's music has been moving on its own, separate from all of this legal turbulence. Deep Thoughts dropped on March 28, 2025 from Inside Custody. It debuted at number 3.
Bro, that was March 8th, 2025. Bro, that just felt like yesterday again. Oh my God, that's crazy.
On the Billboard 200 and became the 3rd highest streamed album of all of 2025. He earned 53 RIAA certifications that year, more than any other rapper, which put him in RIAA's top 50 artists of all time at 52.2 million units sold. His cultural footprint is bigger than it has ever been, and he is locked in a cell, unable to walk into a studio, unable to step on a stage, unable to see his kids except through what limited access the federal system allows. Let me zoom out for real now, because the story of how Lil Durk is being treated in prison is not just a story about one man. It is a story about what the federal system does to black men in hip-hop when it decides they are a target, and it is a story that has been told before. You want to talk about the pattern, gang? Young Thug sat in a Georgia jail for years before his YSL RICO case resolved. Gunna got caught up in the same net. Meek Mill spent years in and out of the system on probation violations that many legal observers described as disproportionate. Puff Daddy has been held at MDC Brooklyn awaiting his own federal trial. The federal government has developed a playbook for high-profile rap cases, and you can see every page of it in what is happening to Durk. Expanded indictments, new charges added after the initial arrest, use of song lyrics as evidence, until the court rejects that and they fall back on everything else. RICO-adjacent framing that labels a music collective a hybrid gang, requests for anonymous juries that are normally reserved for organized crime and terrorism, bond denials no matter how much money and security you put on the table. This is not speculation. This is documented in court filings. The federal government, in their own words, filed with a Los Angeles federal court called OTF, a hybrid organization that blends legitimate business with organized crime. They said Durk uses his money, influence, and power to endanger individuals whom he perceives as a threat, and they used those characterizations to justify keeping a man in solitary confinement for 5 months without a formal disciplinary hearing. and to justify 4 separate bond denials despite a $4.5 million.
Bro. How many kids he got? I forgot. But I know he got some kids. You only have one call for 30 days, bro. Bro, you missing out on their lives, bro. If he was free right now, bro, that's insane, gang. His daughters and his sons, I ain't gonna lie, all his kids will barely even know, like, they will have to catch up, like, they will have to over catch up. It ain't just, and it don't take just one day to catch up. You can't even get that back. I ain't gonna lie, bro. That's bad, bro.
Dollar package. And here's the question that should stay with everybody watching this. At what point does pretrial treatment become its own form of punishment? Durk has not been convicted. A jury has never looked at the evidence and returned a verdict. He has sat at a defense table in a beige jail uniform and a kufi cap, entered his not guilty plea, stood up, put his hand over his heart, smiled at his family, and walked back into custody. Over and over, and in between those court appearances, he has been in a cell barely big enough for a bed, a toilet, and a sink, getting 1 phone call per month with no visits, no commissary, and no formal disciplinary hearing.
Alright, bro. This is the end of the video. He's saying the same shit over and over again. I ain't gonna lie, bro. But if y'all mess with the video, man, like, comment, subscribe. We on the road to 150 subscribers, man. Come on, man. And like I said, follow me on Instagram, bro. Come on, y'all. Y'all could do this. Y'all could do this. Follow me on Instagram. Send me some videos to watch, man, and I'm gonna shout you out, bro, in the video, bro. You gonna see your name pop up, bro.